Finally, after a long and rather complex process of study and development, we are delighted to present the creation of this Mandylion, which we have named the Didactic Mandylion. Why is it not intended as historical recreation? Among other reasons, because we do not truly know what it looked like. However, we do know enough to show what this Mandylion might have been like, based on the documentary source we have, both scarce and, above all, on sources from the history of art. This includes all the artistic representation in fresco, icons, and so on, that have been preserved. The Mandylion begins its history in the year 525. Floods in the city of Edessa reveals a niche in the city wall, where, according to the historian Procopius, an image of the face of the Christ, not made by human hands, was discovered. This image, called Acheropietos, will come to be seen as the protector of the city during the siege of Edessa in the year 544, and was regarded as a great palladium. A powerful protective image. Like every protective image considered holy, it was wrapped in what we would today call a reliquary. This reliquary mainly consisted of two clothes. If we follow what the historian Ian Wilson later proposed, which subsequently became viewed as the most plausible hypothesis, the Mandylion would in fact be the Shroud of Turin, which later arrived in Constantinople and eventually in France in the 14th century, folded in 8 sections. This will be the 8th section corresponding to the face of the image, and it is upon this that the reliquary of what will become the Mandylion is made. In this way, it will not appear as a funerary cloth, but rather as a portrait, in the style of the ancient Egyptians' funerary portraits, such as those from the Phaeon or Roman portraits. It departs from the usual canon. This image will be covered with 2 clothes, as mentioned. The first, a Jewish tallit, because it's the recognition of a Jewish image. The Jewish tallit, the tallit gadol, or great tallit, is the prayer shawl worn by the priest when entering the temple. This cloth symbolized the tent of meeting of Moses in the Sinai desert, where he encountered God, and is therefore a symbol of the presence of God. It includes a series of elements, one of which is a tallit, which we have represented here, starting with these colored stripes. We do not know for certain whether they were blue or black. Black symbolizes the destruction of the temple in the 6th century BC and exile to Babylon. However, blue symbolizes purity. For this reason, we choose to use blue here to acknowledge the purity of the image being represented. The golden color, which we have also included in the stripe, symbolizes the glory of God. And this is an image that is meant to represent the presence of the divine glory. Originally, in the tzizit, there will be 613 threads, referring to the precepts of Israel, with each one including 7. But we have noticed that this is not strictly followed, and, for our purposes in representing the tallit, it was not considered essential. The second element will be a royal Persian cloth from the Parthians or other Middle Eastern civilization. As we can see, it will be a rich cloth. There are sculptures of kings, both Parthian and Persian, showing Damascene textiles, decorated with flowers in various shapes. Here, we choose something that was widely used in early Christianity, the fleur de lis, a flower that represents the purity of God. Therefore, once again, we link into the color blue. In this way, what we have is a medallion with a face, a strange face, as the legends of the time describe it, like a monochrome damp stain, but framed by something that evokes the royalty of the figure and by a cloth that recalls the divinity of the figure. Therefore, it is a reliquary that refers to a figure who is considered both God and king. According to tradition, the only figure who fits this description is Jesus of Nazareth. It is also a life-size Mandylion, which was an essential aspect of this creation. And we have a deeded rod with hangings in order to display it, since, as I said at the beginning, this is a didactic Mandylion. It is not intended to be historical because we don't know for certain what it truly looked like, but it had to be something similar.